Hi everyone, Trish Triumpho Sullivan here, and we're going to talk a little bit today about humor. It's an extra credit assignment, so it's not required for the class, but it's an opportunity to earn an extra 10 points towards your grade. So let's talk about it right now. Get right on it. This is lecture number 28 in the Photography 1 lecture series, and let's talk a little bit about humor. So humor, right, is extra credit right, and it's worth up to 10 points. Right, so it's not required, but you can do it. So let's talk a little bit about humor. So a good example of how timeless humor can be would be a Greek comedy, right? It's a humor play. And the Romans copied it. So it was first Greek, then Roman. And it was about a family with a father who was kind of a doofus. You know, he always comes up with wild schemes, and the wife, you know, steps in to save the family. You know, it's like 2,400 years ago, right? He has a couple of smart aleck kids that are always getting in trouble as well. And you know, does that plot sound familiar to you at all? Well, it should sound familiar. It's the same plot as The Simpsons, right? So over 2,400 years ago, right, we have a comedy play, a humor play that still is funny to us today. So humor can be very timeless. There's certain things that we find very, very funny. And so some parts of humor don't change, right? They just don't change. There's three basic types of humor. There's ironic, if I can spell it right here. I give up. Just rewrite it here. Ironic, right? So there's ironic, there's juxtaposition, right? And there's farce. So farce would be the kind of slapstick comedy that, say, the Marx Brothers or the Three Stooges would do. It's just, you know, goofy stuff. It's kind of thing you see in cartoons. Ironic humor, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Ironic humor is where there's irony involved. In other words, see, how can I describe this? It makes fun of something that really isn't that funny. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Juxtaposition is basically just putting two things together that separately would not be funny, but when you have them together, they are funny. So an example would be, I saw a photograph of a bullfighter that looks like he's scared. He's like up against the wall, and he's like, I got this look on his face that he's really scared. And it looks like what he's looking at is a little kitten right next to him. What you don't see is that there's right on the other side of the kitten is a bull that's getting ready to gore him, and a kitten had gotten into the arena somehow. But it looks like the bullfighter is afraid of the kitten. So that's ironic. The kitten by itself isn't funny. The bullfighter by himself isn't funny. But put them together with that look on his face like he's frightened of a kitten, that's funny. Okay, so that's what juxtaposition is. So let's talk a little bit about how, you know, drama is really easy to produce. Drama is very easy, and pretty much for any culture or audience, and for the education of the audience, drama is very easy. Humor is the hardest thing to understand in another language, right? You know that you've learned the language when you can laugh at the jokes. That's when you really know another culture, is when you can understand their humor. And it is different from culture to culture. So juxtapositional humor is just putting things together, creating a relationship that is hilarious by exploiting that juxtaposition, that connection between those two things. And it's the point of view that the ultimate result, right, is greater than the sum of its parts. Okay, so you're creating meaning by bringing two or more things together in a photograph. Ironic humor, well, that's having elements that kind of contradict each other in your photograph. I guess that would be the way to put it. It's contradictory. So when you're using ironic humor, you are putting having elements that contradict each other. And an unintentional example of ironic humor would be when I was over at a self-storage place, and I was watching this truck unload boxes, right? And as I look at the boxes, I see that this says something on the boxes, and the people from the truck are taking the boxes and putting them in a storage unit, right? And when you look at when I looked at the boxes, it had big writing on the side of the box that said, "Do not store or use," right? So it was like, that's kind of ironic humor there, unintentional, but still there. And, like we said, with the out of context cropping, that was with the bull and the bullfighter. Another one that was really funny, like I could say that at one point over on East Alisal, there was a restaurant called the China Star Restaurant. And out and back where the dumpsters were, the dumpster lid was open, and in the top of the lid was stenciled China Star Restaurant with an arrow pointing down into the dumpster, right? So that pretty amusing. Another would be the business that was called Chicken and Donuts shop, and the and sign was out, like the lighting for the and was out, so it just said Chicken Donuts, which didn't sound very appetizing, right? And there's a lot of possibilities for humor. Okay, let me just say that right now. But they're not stealing other people's humor. Okay, so you're not going to take a photo of a bumper sticker that has a funny saying on it, or a sign that at the gas station that says eat and get gas, right? That's someone else's humor. It may be funny, right, and amusing, but you're not going to steal it or borrow it for this assignment. Okay, so you have to create your own funny thing. So there's a lot of different ways you can do. So you can do things like staging. You can create a scene that looks really funny. I had a student one time that I think her little sister or brother had a pet rat, and she had her little sister, I think it was a little girl, hang upside down from a jungle gym bar so that her hair was going like that, right? And then she held the rat next to the little girl, so the little girl made a face, right, like like scared, right? And then she flipped the picture so that it looked like, instead of the girl hanging upside down, it looked like she was upright and the hair was standing straight up, and here's this pet rat, right, that scared her. So that was staging. That was something that the student came up with, this idea, and thought, hey, people are scared of rodents. We'll make it look like it made her hair stand straight up. And it worked. It was a really great photograph. I wish I had it to show you, right? And I'm not going to, it looked really funny, but I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge this by how much it makes me laugh, right? I'll judge it by how much it makes the class laugh, No, I'm kidding. I won't do that. You know, if you think that you can just take a picture of your friend making a funny face, okay? Anyone can make a funny face, right? I can cross my eyes and right? It's not funny, okay? It's funny to your friend or to you maybe, but not to anyone else. Like looking at someone sticking their tongue out or crossing their eyes or something, it's good for a chuckle, but it's not really funny, okay? So I think that kind of gives you an idea. I won't give you credit for that. I mean, I had another student do actually a pretty elaborate stage at one point. They had their dog, who was really well trained apparently. Here, let me make this a little bigger so we can see it. They had their dog sit in a truck. So here's like the cab of the truck, right? And there's a window. And so the dog's sitting in the truck, and he managed to like kind of stick the ear so it looked like it was, and I think the dog actually had his paw out the window too. And he managed to stick the ear of the dog kind of to the back window. No dog was harmed in this, so I think he just used some tape and got it to stick there. But the dog was happy just to kind of sit there like that. And then he made a drawing of like some buildings, like a little painting of some buildings in the city, right, with little windows. So it looked like a kind of a poster board size. And he had his friend stand on the other side of the truck and kind of move it back, move it like that when he was taking the picture, so it looked like it was motion blur. And that was like the dog driving the truck, right? So it looked like, in a close-up, it looked like the scenery was passing by and was blurred, and the dog was, letting his ear flap in the wind as he's driving the truck. I think he had the other paw up on the wheel as well, so it looked like he was driving there. So really fun and funny. And so you can make a staged one. I've seen some great staged ones, you guys. Or you can find something that's pretty funny. So let's look at a few examples really quick. Just bear with me while we take a quick look. And I'm going to turn the camera around. And we're going to zoom in here so we can take a quick look at some examples. There we go. All right, so here's one where the kid's making a face. I mean, it's probably funny to the parents, and maybe to the kid's friends, but as far as being funny to anybody else, it's not really that amusing. Right? Here's one that was turned in. It's a chair in a field. Didn't make me laugh. Same thing with the empty phone booth. Just not that funny. Right? I mean, it's maybe a chuckle, but, big dog smelling a little dog. It's cute, but it's not really funny. Reading and playing games. Now, a horse pulling a car, that's funny. Right? That might have given you a little chuckle, a little bit more of a chuckle. Whoever said that dogs look like their owners, or is it owners look like their dogs? Right? Strangely enough, right, the smiles kind of look the same. Right? Here's one. It's just not that funny. I mean, it's okay that she's making like kind of that weird face, but it's just not very amusing. Same with this one. I don't care how famous they are at sticking out your tongue and making a face. Just doesn't do it. So this one you may be kind of hard to see what's funny about it. But if you look at the price, it's $599.99. Regular $600. Whoa, I'm rushing down to that store for that sale price because I'm going to save 1 penny. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Here's one. This is not going to be acceptable. You can't just put some writing on something and then and say, "Oh, this is this is my humor shot." No, it's not working, you guys. Deer eating some fruit off a tree. It's cute, but it's just not funny. Okay, here's one where they're using something that kind of happened accidentally, maybe, but it turned out to be pretty funny. So they're taking a photo of this young lady, and it happens to be a bird sitting on the rock behind her head, but it really looks like the bird sitting on her head. So that's good for a chuckle anyway, isn't it? All right, this one, nah. Okay, keep off the grass. That is pretty funny, right? There's no other grass except this one little tiny square of grass. That it's amusing. The dog chewing on the anti-chewing spray. Yeah, bad lighting, but it's funny. So here's here's an example of some ironic photograph. So you've got the truck with the flames painted on the side, and look at it. It's on fire. So yeah, that would be considered ironic humor. Here's another one. This is a photo of a guy that says, give me some money or I'll kick you in the face, right? And the poor guy doesn't have any legs. Humor is often, it's often when we're laughing at the sadness of others or the something that's bad that's happened to someone else, something that's painful. We often will laugh at other people's misfortune, and that's a common theme in humor. Slipping on a banana peel and falling down isn't funny if you broke your back or hit your head or anything, but it's funny to watch, right? We laugh at people's misfortune all the time. Yeah, there we go. Dead end. His way. Well, we all know where that will lead. Here's one that's a fun one. Violent crime duo caught on video, right? And it shows Winnie the Pooh and the little snowman character stuff, like kind of stuffed animal things, right? It doesn't say this is the article over here, right? But it's and this is just a picture that's some fluff, but it's still really funny. I don't think that they really meant for the tires to be in that spot. Or the wheels to be in that spot when they designed this, but it ended up that way. And you got to admit, it's pretty amusing. All right, here's a good one. American freedom, made in China. This is a classic. Like the prince is talking to a soldier, and it looks like he's getting ready to do something that would be very unfortunate for him, right? The Me Too movement. Here's another juxtaposition one where they wouldn't be funny by themselves, but the two CD covers, one up above the other, is pretty amusing, right? This one, not funny at all. Okay, so when you're looking for something, this is why I want you to bring your camera with you everywhere you go, because you never know when you're going to find something funny to photograph, right? No matter what it is, you might be like, oh, here's my humor shot, okay? So remember, something like this is funny, something like that, not so much, okay? So we're going to leave you with that. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next lecture.